Welcome to Mr. Joe's exclusive stories, where true tales of sacrifice, love, and destiny come alive. Today's story will move you to tears, because sometimes the most ordinary lives create the most extraordinary journeys. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear will stay in your heart forever. For nearly 3 decades, Minalu Mergiya's life followed the same rhythm. Morning light in Lebanon, a quiet apartment, the clatter of dishes, the hum of a vacuum cleaner, the smell of polish and soap. She was a housekeeper, and not just for a season, for almost 30 years. 30 years of scrubbing, cooking, mending. 30 years of setting aside her own comfort. 30 years of saving every coin she could. But this story is not about the work she did. It is about why she did it. Because behind every plate she washed, behind every floor she cleaned, there was a dream. A dream carried in her heart like fire. A dream not for herself, but for her son, Kirubel. Minalu left Ethiopia when Kirubel was just a boy. It broke her heart to leave him behind, but poverty had left her no choice. The opportunities at home were scarce, and she knew that if her son was to have a chance at life beyond struggle, she would have to go abroad. In Lebanon, she found work as a housekeeper. The job was hard, the hours long, but she accepted it with quiet strength. Every month, she sent money home. Not a single coin was wasted. Not a single luxury for herself. Her clothes remained simple. Her meals, modest. Her savings, sacred. Because in her heart, one vision grew larger each year. She dreamed of watching her boy grow into a man who would rise higher than she ever could. She wanted to see him become a pilot. It seemed impossible. But to Minalu, impossibility was only another word for patience. Year after year, her life in Lebanon was defined by sacrifice. There were birthdays she missed, school milestones she only heard about through letters and occasional calls. There were evenings when loneliness sat beside her like a shadow. She longed to hear her son's laughter in the house. She longed to see him run to her, to share meals, to watch him grow with her own eyes. But instead, she traded presents for provision. She chose absence so that he could have abundance. At night, when her body ached from labor, she would take out his photographs. She would run her fingers over the edges, whispering prayers into the silence. Let him study well. Let him have strength. Let him never doubt how much I love him. And back in Ethiopia, her prayers were not in vain. Kirubel grew up not only with the weight of his own dreams, but with the weight of his mother's sacrifices. Every time he saw his school fees paid, every new book in his hand, he knew where it came from. From the long hours his mother worked, from the coins she stacked away, from the years she spent in a country far from home. And so, when he studied, he did not study for himself alone. When he worked, he did not work only for ambition. He carried his mother's hope like a compass, guiding every step. There were nights when exhaustion nearly overcame him. The textbooks felt heavy, the lessons endless. But he remembered her. He remembered that somewhere across the sea, she was awake, working, carrying her own exhaustion with dignity. And in those moments, he pressed on. His dream was clear. He wanted to fly planes. But more than that, he wanted to see his mother smile the kind of smile that only pride could bring. For years, their lives ran on parallel tracks. In Lebanon, Minalu worked in silence, dreaming of the sky her son would one day conquer. In Ethiopia, Kirubel chased that very sky, driven by the strength of her sacrifices. Neither journey was easy. Training to be a pilot demanded discipline, focus, resilience. Each lesson in the cockpit required precision and patience. But every time doubt tried to creep in, Kirubel remembered his mother's hands. Hands that had grown rough from scrubbing, hands that bore the lines of sacrifice. He carried those hands in his memory, and they guided him forward. Slowly, step by step, hour by hour, his training transformed him. Until at last, the boy who once looked at toy airplanes in wonder stood tall as a man in uniform, an Ethiopian Airlines pilot. Meanwhile, far away, Minalu's own journey was reaching its final chapter. After nearly 30 years, she packed her bags in Lebanon for the last time. The suitcase was not heavy, but her heart was full. Full of memories, full of sacrifices, full of quiet victories that no one else could see. She was going home. As she boarded her final flight to Ethiopia, she thought it would be like any other. She would sit quietly, perhaps look out the window, perhaps think of her son waiting for her at the airport. She had no idea what was waiting for her just beyond the cabin doors. When the crew guided her toward the cockpit, confusion flickered across her face. Why would they be taking her there? But then, the door opened, and there he was, Kirubel, her son, not the boy she once left behind, but the man he had become, standing tall in his Ethiopian Airlines uniform, a bouquet of flowers in his hand, a cake prepared just for her. For a heartbeat, she could not breathe. Her eyes filled with tears. Her hands trembled. And then, the years melted away. The decades of separation, the birthdays missed, the countless nights of work, all of it dissolved into this one perfect moment. She burst into tears and ran into his arms. And in that embrace, 30 years of sacrifice found their answer. There, in the cockpit of an Ethiopian Airlines plane, a mother and son held each other like the world had finally come full circle. Passengers clapped. Crew members smiled. Cameras captured the scene. But in that instant, it was only the two of them. For Kirubel, it was the moment he had dreamed of, to not only fly, but to fly her. For Minalu, it was the moment she had prayed for, to see her son's dream fulfilled, and to know her sacrifices had not been in vain. Sometimes the greatest journeys are not measured in miles or in years. They are measured in love, in sacrifice, in the unbreakable bond between a mother and her child. This story is not only about a pilot and his mother. It is about every parent who works in silence, every sacrifice made in kitchens, in fields, in faraway countries, every coin saved, every dream carried quietly in the heart. It is a reminder that love can fuel dreams greater than we imagine, that sometimes the path to the sky begins with the strength of a mother's hands. Minalu's story is a testimony, a reminder that sometimes the greatest journeys end right where they began, with family. This was just one of many unforgettable stories we share here on Mr. Joe's exclusive stories. If this moment touched you, imagine the journeys still waiting to be told. Hit subscribe, turn on the bell, and join our family, because the next story may be the one that inspires you most. Until then, remember, sometimes the greatest journeys end where they began, with family.